Heading out on another photo walk. My plan today is to be in Jerusalem and to see what maybe the Machane Yehuda area. While waiting for my bus to Jerusalem, which is coming right now, happen to see very interesting at the stop here. I was going to shoot a bus here. I'll have to talk about this a little later. I was starting to say that it was something that I had happened to see while waiting for the bus was this unusual jacket of a young girl, I guess, that was hung up there. Maybe someone had forgotten it and someone found it and put there so they could return to the lost owner, perhaps, whatever it was. It was just an unusual sight. And I figured, wow, look at that. Here's an opportunity to take some pictures and see what I can do with that. Well, one of the pictures I took was trying to show the jacket and all the destinations that you can go to. That's the part of the direction is that things that appeal to me when I'm taking the photos are the story behind it. It's like something that piques my interest, looks interesting, and something that would make just a story that makes the viewer look at it and wonder what's going on here. So here I am, Machane Yehuda. Lots of stuff going on here. This place is bustling as usual, which is part of the whole excitement and fun. Uh, so I'm sort of wandering around looking for things that look interesting. So I'm trying to capture some of the people here, the activities. What I really like um, looking for the stories, the emotions, things that just happen. Just catching those moments, the interaction that defines something happening between two people. It's really good. So I think like this interaction here between this guy buying some food. Oh, look, there's a guy up here on the upper deck there. He's got a cool view. Wow, what a cool place to be. Just observing and watching what's going on here. Wow. I like how this photo is framed. The guy in the middle is clearly the subject, and he's got a very interesting plate or platter of loaves of bread on his head. So let's see if we can save this picture because right now it's not doing it for me. So first off, I'm going to just autocorrect the exposure and bring in some more of the sky, which is much nicer. I happen to like the at the top here the fact that we see the top of the building and this street light. We'll see if we can keep that in at the end. I'm not entirely sure because it's gonna be a little tight. I think that could work. I mean, really, I would bring it down much more tight to our subject here, but I like the context that we're getting here of him in this marketplace. So let's work with this for now. Speaking about this picture just a little bit, just off the cuff, what comes to me is that I like the situation going on here. We have this guy walking through, and he's clear the focus. He's got some interesting. He's very focused on what he's doing here. I like that. Right. If we zoom in here, we can see that his expression is very. He's very focused on what he's doing, and the angles going on here are also very. He's in action. He's in movement. I don't necessarily like this arm. It's very almost like a dead arm just hanging down like that. I would like to see it with a little bit more of an angle to it. Some bend to his arm would be a little nicer. But his placement is good, and I like that it sort of captures the scene of like this is what is happening right here. So from looking like this to that, very good. I'm much better, right? Much better. I have to say, I've been wandering around, hit and miss sometimes. But here, if you see right behind me, you see this? There's a broom over here, and I was thinking, what could I do with that? And took a shot. I'm really impressed with it. I used a 7300 lens, and that really put a beautiful bouquet behind it. Just the colors and everything. Really happy with that. Really enjoying how the colors came out, and also just the fact that there's a broom in the middle. It's an interesting like, what's that about? Huh? So I think it's pretty beautiful. One thing I make actually is sourdough bread. And so here's a very cool sourdough bread store in Shuk Machane Yehuda. Uh, and what's really cool about here, not necessarily sourdough, but the way that it's arranged, how the bread is behind this reflective plastic. So it gives me this amazing opportunity to take these multi-layered shots that I really enjoy. And so you can see here, just in this live view on my phone, actually, but the idea that I'm shooting through here, that there's a glass on top. See this glass? But when you look through, you get the picture of your subject. Plus, also you have all this interesting things happening in the background. So there's this interaction between the foreground and the background, and all pulling it together right here. And for me, these are really captivating stories. They really challenge the viewer to look at what's going on here, and it's just really cool. So here we have the food, the merchants, the customers all coming together. I'm looking forward to see how the picture comes out. Something I like to look for are patterns in geometric shapes. And so you can see behind me, it's very cool up here. We got some of these windows and stuff like that. But what I was actually photographing just this moment is over here. We got these very interesting chairs over here. These chairs, right? So I'm looking at the ways to use the geometry of that to make some interesting lines and patterns and see what we can do. One really cool shot I got was putting my camera under the chair, shooting straight up, because a very different perspective, and it could looks really cool.
What do we have next here? Another interaction. Let's see, I think I have two here. Let's see, yeah, do two different angles. So between these two, which would you pick, huh? I'm actually more inclined to this one because you can see the people better. When I'm looking at this picture, I feel that there's a lot of action, a lot of things going on over here, and this guy is almost lost. But let's go and do some exposure and corrections. Just get it back into a realm of a normal picture maybe, and then we can reevaluate. But that's my first impression, is that I'm more interested and more attracted to this composition here. Okay, so get a little bit more of his bag in so it's not so tight to the edge. Okay, that's good. And now compare that with this one. Let's do some auto exposure. And bring this in here. What are the earplugs in my ears? All right, so now we have this framing and this framing. And I'm still gonna hold with this first one. I think it's more interesting. I mean, I like to see the fact that you see both people's faces, but they're not so interacting between the two of them. I mean, there is some, I feel like here it's a little bit more. We have this guy is actually studying the food as it's being prepared, and this guy's busy working on it. So I'm happy with this composition in general. Let's see what we can do as far as fixing the lighting. Uh, Again, we have a lot of these people who are under the daylight sky, and people here under the electric lights. So we got a little bit of an issue with matching the white balance. Fortunately, we can do some subtle adjustments and fix that. Over here, let's see what happens if I add more contrast. Okay, it's interesting. I like it. Is it a award-winning picture? I don't know at this point, but I like the fact. I think it really does capture the mood in this market. You know, we have buyers and sellers, and the buyer looks a little bit. Here he gives me the impression he's a little bit particular. You know, he's like, this guy gonna give me the best produce or not, right? And our young worker here is trying to do his best job as he can. And I think it captures a good essence, a vibe of this scene.
So I started off taking some pictures of some small strollers that I saw, shopping carts that are hanging on the ceiling. That looked pretty cool for the repetition and things like that. The initial ones I got were a little bit empty, like there's not enough material there to work with. But then I moved along, and I get a whole bunch of ones that are not only um, more interesting, but they've got this pattern to them too. So I am liking that, and I take a few pictures of that as well.
While wandering around Machane Yehuda, I came across this potato store. and that itself is very interesting. But beyond that, this picture, the scene that I found here, I really liked. We had these three people, all in these very bright colors. In post production, I did amp up the vibrance a little bit, but they did have very strong blues and purple and green, and really these three subjects stood out very well. And what's really fascinating to me about this is the story. There's so much going on in this picture where there's all three of them are together, but they're separate. Like if you see, they're all focusing down at what they're doing, but they're not focusing at the same thing. There's the message is that even when you're coming close and together, you're still in some respects in your own separate worlds. And what's really amazing is that here we're in a restaurant scene, and restaurants where people come together and eat, and it's bonds are formed, really strong bonds sometimes. Nonetheless, we see the way they're all interacting in their own, focusing in their own inner worlds, that there's still this separation that's happening. And I think for me, that's what really speaks strongly to me in this story about this picture.
Something that's very interesting that caught my eye was over here. This, let's see if I can get it. These gloves right here. These gloves sitting on this cart, and it just really spoke to me. This idea, it's just very interesting that they're sitting there, what they represent maybe, and the fact that they're the angles also. We have the colors are very nice, and they have these angles, and on the other side we have this yellow, and so trying to put them together. I actually walked all around the cart to see how it looks from different sides, to see if there's a certain one direction or combination that I like more. Sun is setting, and it was really a beautiful time out at the shuk, Machane Yehuda. So this is really gorgeous, and I'm so happy I was able to be here. Looking forward to seeing the pictures, and looking forward to seeing you in another video.